To go into very little detail from me, but the most important thing for me is my intro of Miss Elsie Jo Trawick. Usually you hear me talk more than I should. This time I'm not. This time I'm going to turn this over to a young lady that is one of our, shall we say, adopted native daughters. Elsie Jo Trawick was she was a seasoned pianist at 5 years old. She started studying thereafter and studied for many years of her younger life. It was her intention and that of her family for her to attend Juilliard, but that was not workable due to a small event called World War II. But she nonetheless went on to college. And while attending college in Akron, she was required to take voice. Remember that her focus was on piano and organ. But her teachers heard her sing, and they twisted her arm, shall we say, and got her to include voice study in her studies. And the rest is really history, because she went on from there. Of course, she got a BA in piano and organ, but went on, she taught piano and organ, and also she began to sing on the concert stage. So she sang opera pretty much all over the world. It was widely known and widely appreciated as an outstanding mezzo-soprano. We regard her as an outstanding citizen and someone who's one of our treasures. I want to present to you, since she has had such a lot to do with being sort of the glue that started to put this together, but beforehand I do want to acknowledge the main man in this. Where is Milton Shaw? Right there. Milton Shaw is our former curator, and has been very, very much instrumental in putting this exhibit together. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We're optimistic, too, that this will gradually expand, commensurate with those who seek and achieve some note in the career of music. We're especially glad for some special guests that we have that Elsie Jo will present to you in a moment. But without further ado, I would add that during her travels she swept another individual off his feet, a gentleman named Stovall Trawick, a very distinguished banker here in town. And they got together and had, presto, 3 lovely daughters. And presto, we had ourselves our very own opera star. With that, I want to present to you for the remainder of the program, Elsie Jo Trawick.
Thank you very much, Tom. And I also want to add my kudos to Milton Shaw. This was his idea.
Well, we couldn't have done it without you.
And he called me up and said, Elsie, do you have a couple of pictures when you were singing? And I said, oh, sure. And promptly forgot. I came up to the museum and he had Sterling hung and Thomas Thompson hung. I said, oh, you want them now? And he certainly did. We have with us some guests that I want to introduce to you. And he plays with the New York Philharmonic, the second horn, Alan Spanger. By the name of Paul, who lives in Colorado, who plays the guitar. Paul. And he takes his guitar, and he's an outdoor man. He's with the Outer Bounds, is that what they call him?
Outer Bounds.
It's a very famous outdoor trek, and so forth and so on. But anyway, that's Paul. Claire Beck is with us. She's another professional singer. married a Cedartown man, and he came to Cedartown, and here we are. She too produced. But Alan, I want to tell you a little bit about all of these people. You know, we're all sort of related a little bit. This is sort of interrelated. And starting with Sterling Holloway, now Zan was saying that her mother acted in his plays when she was a little girl. And he produced, he wrote them, he produced them, he directed them, he made the costume, it was all in his garage. And mothers and daddies had to go, of course, naturally. But anyway, at the age of 16 or 17, he was on Broadway with Richard Rogers' show with Garrett Gaieties. And then he went to Hollywood. And he had an interview, and the man said, oh, you're a little too homely.
Too homely.
Left
with the tone.
As he was leaving the building, the four Marx Brothers were walking in, and he thought, oh, maybe. And he did. And of course, our generation of grandchildren and children know him as a voiceover for Winnie the Pooh, but otherwise he was in hundreds and hundreds of movies. And he came home and helped, and was the star of our opening of the auditorium, and he was fantastic because he, like you, could remember stories about James Young and Stovall and Joe Holmes, and he let the cat out of the bag with some of his stories. Thomas Thompson was born and raised here in Cedartown. His father owned 3 movie theaters, so Thomas was just sort of grew up with theater around him. And he produced and directed the Cedartown Little Theater and made costumes, and Tessie Payton said he did everything, absolutely everything, but he was just very, very, but he too found New York calling, and when he started out, he was with Community Concert Representative, and the first concert that he arranged was for Cedartown, his hometown. He loved coming home to Cedartown. And when I came to Cedartown, I met 2 bachelors. One I married, and the other became a lifelong friend. And Thomas that's what he was, a lifelong friend. And he ended up in his retirement as senior vice president of Columbia Management. Now, Alan, can you tell me how important Columbia Artist Management is here?
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. The picture we have here is with a young artist from Canada. That he was Ronald Torini, was a pianist, and his teacher was Vladimir Horowitz. Can you believe there's a picture of Vladimir Horowitz in the Cedartown Museum? Mr. Torini went back to Canada, but anyway, Thomas managed his career along with Yehudi Menuhin, Brigitte Nielsen, the top. Francesca Willis came to Cedartown with her husband. He was with Notco, and she was a professional whistler in Chicago. And we have a picture of the group with whom that she whistled. And she gave concerts throughout Georgia, and Thomas Thompson was her accompanist. And her church, and she was always interested in young people, and the silver trophy that's beside her was given in her honor by the Cedartown Music Club to the Georgia Federation of Music Clubs. But now it has found a permanent home here in our museum. May Caldwell was a public school music teacher and a professional organist. I asked Thomas, what turned you on to music? I mean, Thomas was a concert quality pianist himself and knew everything. But anyway, he said, May Caldwell. He didn't even hesitate. May Caldwell. How many young people she turned on to music? She'd take carloads of them to Atlanta, to the opera, and to concerts, and so forth and so on. The Cedartown Log of 1950 was dedicated to her because of her great interest in music. Well, we have Claire Beck. Have I talked about you yet? I can talk about you again. I can remember Claire singing in the Follies, this gorgeous grace on you. I'm sorry that Catherine Campbell can't be with us this afternoon. She has a little boy that's still in school, and the schedules didn't quite work out, but she will be here the latter part of June, and she'll be coming up here to the museum to see. She said she has a fantastic career as a musical comedy singer. She was in soap operas on the television. She she just was one of my favorite children as she was growing up, and a beautiful voice. We're going to be looking forward to her visit and what she has to tell us about her career. Milton came up with a wonderful idea. He has a notebook, and in this notebook are biographies of, I might say that they're rather short compared to what we gave him, but they're beautiful, and they were written by Mark Waits, who's a very talented writer. And I'm sorry that Mark can't be here this afternoon, but the book is for you to look at. And Mark wrote for the love of music, and this is an exhibit of the people that either were born here or came here and gave of themselves for music. Years ago when I was singing in regional opera, I was doing a Rigoletto, and Cornell McNeil was the Rigoletto, and he went on to the Metropolitan Opera. And Patricia Brooks, the Gilda, went on to the New York City Opera, and I came back to Cedartown and had another baby. And I was telling Catherine Campbell that she was in the production of Rose Tattoo on Broadway in Circle in the Square. And Patricia Brooks' husband was Ted Mann, who initiated Circle in the Square. So I said, we're all sort of... Okay, now it's your turn. What do you have to say?
Yeah, to talk to her. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. I had the opportunity I wanted to be in the band when I was a kid. So I went and tried out some instruments. And they had a French horn. I didn't know what it was. I could get a sound out of it. John Thomas was there. It's like, well.
And John Thomas is right there.
We just looked up, haven't you?
I was so willing to sit there with the trumpet. Just started the horn. And, thanks. Well, so anyway, so he just gave me an opportunity just to do what I felt like I always wanted to do. And having the opportunity then just to kind of follow that, just always doing what I wanted to do. And it all started here.
Well, you've had a fantastic career. We're so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. It's always been fun. And it still is. Thanks. I really appreciate being included.
Isn't that sweet? And this is your brother Bobby.
Yeah.
And his beautiful wife.
Gloria.
I'm so glad to see you here. Thank you very much and welcome. Welcome. Yeah, the girls have come over.
Please join us, if you will, for some refreshments. We're delighted that you're here and enjoy. And special thanks to Carol Casey and Debbie. Where is sweet Debbie? Debbie Fraser.
She's gone back.
And Darcy Davis, I believe, assistant. So thank you very much for the refreshments. And enjoy. Also, this has just been redone, so since you're here, if you want to mosey around, love to look at it.